Hello, welcome to the Wasting Time podcast. I'm Chris. I'm here with Nick. Hey, Nick.
Afternoon, morning, whatever time of day it is when people are listening. I always forget that people don't listen to us live.
Very true.
How's things?
Not bad. Things okay with you?
Yeah, good. Started a new job this week, so full of busy. Have had my toes a little bit into the new Sum 41 stuff and the Blink stuff, which I assume you'll be eager to talk about.
Yeah, I did. Those things did catch my attention, as you would expect.
Is there anything else you wanted to chat about before we chat about them?
I mean, there's been a few things I've been listening to here and there. New Menzingers song. Going to be seeing them in a few months again. Feel like I see them all the time.
Yeah, they've got quite a big tour, haven't they? It's lined up for start next year.
Yeah, they have.
I think they're doing a big venue up here, actually.
Which one are they doing up your way?
Northumbria, I think. The big
nice.
room.
Okay. And also, I suppose if anyone's listening to this before October the 7th, which there's a chance you might be because this is coming out before then, and if you're London based, try and come to Tilda Fest, which is the weekend of October 6th, 7th, and 8th. But if you do, try and check out Lovebreakers in the afternoon of the 7th of October. So I thought I'd get that little plug in there.
I'm actually going to be in London in a couple of weeks' time, so maybe we can hook up.
Yes.
Although logistically, I didn't realize, forgot how far out Wembley was. So
yeah, it's a bit of a trek. I was there obviously in the summer for Rancid, but you and I will negotiate that in our own time. We'll not bore the listeners.
I did, talking about Wembley and Rancid, I did see Grade 2 are doing another fucking UK tour. Those boys literally never stop.
They put in the work, don't they? Yeah.
Christ. They're at Newcastle as well. They're at the Clooney this time. So
you'll have to catch them because you missed them last time, didn't you?
I will. Yeah, it's November actually, I think. So
yeah, it is. Yeah, they're out in November.
Yeah.
And any listeners who are fans of Grade 2, see if they're coming to you locally because they're always put on a good show.
Cool.
Yeah, let's start with Sum 41. I think
new single released this week. We were a bit unsure of what the record was going to look like in terms of sound and approach because they've kind of gone historically. Sum 41 have gone through a little bit of a slow transition a little bit, would you say, from the real poppy start and got a little bit heavier as the records went on?
That's true, but they have been quite open about it, saying that it's a double album, Heaven and Hell, Heaven being the kind of traditional pop punks and Hell being the heavier stuff.
Yeah.
If I'm correct, I saw Derek say in an interview that he because he was writing some pop punk stuff for the first time in 16 years or something, and it was originally going to be for other artists, but because he liked it so much, he's like, I kind of want this to be Sum 41 stuff, and I think that's how it came about. But we're hoping to have Dave back on the show once the album's out, so I'm sure we can get into this side of things with him.
But you don't know when that full release is going to be? Yeah.
No, I don't. I do have a friend who's working on the campaign, so I could probably he'll probably know when the date is, but as far as I'm aware, they haven't announced it publicly yet. I don't think.
Exciting stuff. Yeah,
exactly.
It's going to be like a last hurrah album, isn't it?
It is, yeah, because then they're done.
Well, so they say anyway.
What did you think of the song?
Landmines, isn't it? That's the track.
Landmines,
yeah. I think it's a really good song, and I feel like it's. I mean, obviously, it is the poppier kind of side of things. But it feels like a little bit of still feels a little bit new for them as well, like a new sound.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a good single that I guess shows quite a bit of promise for hopefully what's to come.
I think it's solid, and it's just a reminder of what a great songwriter Derek is.
Cool.
Yeah. So also there's this small underground band, Blink 182, I think they're called. They put out some new music recently as well. I also happened to catch their very small show in Copenhagen the other week.
Yeah, go on then. Let's hear about that a little bit more, because you haven't really filled me in full. Just snippets and pictures of you following Mark and Travis and Tom around their hotels like a little fanboy around Copenhagen.
Yeah, we were in Copenhagen for a few days, and I think coincidentally they were there the same amount of time as us because they had like a break in their schedule. And on one of those days, when you do those free walking tours in cities, we were doing one of those. And at one point, the guy was like, and this hotel here, this is the most expensive hotel in Copenhagen, and it's where the Beatles would stay, etc., etc. And we were kind of like, I bet that's where Blinker's staying. So I said, do you know what? When this tour's done, let's just go over and have a cocktail in the bar there or something, because it'll be a nice experience if nothing else. So we did that, and then about 20 minutes into that, my wife just turns to me and she's like, Tom DeLonge's just walked past. And we were like, okay, yeah, turns out it is their hotel. And we did spy all three of them there. Yeah.
But awkwardly remained in the cocktail bar and didn't brave any social interaction.
I tried to speak to Tom and Mark. So Tom, I ran out and he was swamped by fans. And then I was going to ask for a photo of him, but I was just too late, basically. But when Hoppus walked past, because we moved outside by that point, and Mark Hoppus is walking past, and I'm like, fuck, I have to go and speak to him, mainly because, Peter Munters sent him the Lovebreakers album. I just wanted to go and say, look, you need to make sure you listen to this. So I get up and I walk behind. It's him, his wife, and I guess his manager. And I'm like, Mark. I'm literally right behind him, and he just refuses to turn around. And then he gets to the entrance of the hotel, and we're just kind of like, me and Prisha behind them. And then there's another guy who's part of their crew, just kind of looks at us like, I guess like Hoppus had called him ahead and just said, make sure if there's any fans at the hotel, like, I don't stop for any of them. I guess, he must have had it all day long,
Right.
Which is a shame, because it was a chance to meet obviously one of my idols, make sure he listened to Lovebreakers, but it
you just don't like to hear stories like that, do you, really?
And it's nothing, it's nothing personal. Like, he literally never even saw us, never turned around. He obviously had just had a day of it and just wanted to get into his hotel,
And Travis,
we were having the coffee in the square, which is near where their hotel was the next day. And I just looked across the road and I was like, fuck, that's Travis. And Bruce just like, oh shit, it is. There's his bodyguard as well. And we walked near them and he was just on his bike going past. And that was that, really.
You got the full set.
Got the full set, yeah. And then we went to the show, which was really incredible, actually. Maybe the best I've seen them before.
Like, everything I've seen, like, it just looked and felt special as well. Like,
that's it. Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
the band going through like their journey, Tom being away for like what felt like forever, and the Matt thing being good, but never really just quite right. And just the whole build up to it all, I guess, really. And I'm really disappointed.
Yeah.
I missed it, but
anyway. Yeah. Well, obviously that couldn't be helped, but yeah, you would have loved it, mate. It was, as you say, it had that special feeling about it, and the sound was great. I mean, obviously they're relying heavily on backing tracks and stuff, but if you kind of forgive that, because lots of bands do that these days, lots of pop artists obviously do that. It was great. Great set list, and just great atmosphere. Loved it.
Well, I guess in terms of like that special moment, it probably ties nicely into that, the release of their first song, but they released a couple, haven't they? But
yeah,
I think the one more time release single.
Yeah, what did you think?
Yeah, I think it's like it's a special song, isn't it? Because it's like it was emotional for me. It was like a really touching song in terms of like the story. Obviously, it's got that kind of I'm assuming it was intentional, that I Miss You sound. Almost like the before and after, but like following similar melodies, and like, and I don't know if it was clever or just a coincidence. I don't know what you think, but it's like, it's a nice song.
Yeah, no, I think it was intentional, and it's cool. Like, watching the video is really cool, isn't it? When it starts showing all the backgrounds from the past and stuff. Maybe it was a little bit unsubtle when it gets to the point where it starts showing old video clips and stuff, but it's I guess that's what they're going for. Just just whacking
It
you
was
right
just
in the face with it.
yeah, very apt kind of introduction to like the rebirth, isn't it? Or the that kind of reunion,
Yeah,
should I
and
say?
like
And the other
I
one, I
think
just wasn't really that bothered about.
yeah. Well, one more time, I think it's good. It's not brilliant. I haven't gone back to it that much by their standards. I don't think it's one of the classics. Like I saw Mark
No.
Hoppus saying if he had to do the Mount Rushmore of Blink songs, he had like I don't know, he had What's My Age Again, Damn It, I Miss You, Feeling This, things like that, and then he was like, and One More Time. I don't think it's up there like that.
No, and
But
it's
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 okay.
more about it being meaningful, isn't it? In terms of
Yeah, yeah.
like their reunion, like I say, rather than it being a big anthem.
Yeah, true, true. And the other one, as you say, yeah, I wasn't bothered about either. It's okay, but I feel like it doesn't really have a chorus. Like Tom sings the chorus, but it just sounds like another verse to me. Yeah, I was a bit underwhelmed by that one.
Cool. Well, who have you been interviewing recently?
So today's
I,
episode,
I struggle to keep up sometimes.
yeah, it's a band called A Story Told.
Oh yeah.
I spoke to them a few weeks back, and I've left this one till now because they've got an album coming out. It's called Mundane Magic, out on October the 20th, and they've recently put out a song called Rodeo because they've had a few songs from the album coming out. They kind of tread the lines between pop punk and I guess they're more in the pop lane now. Like as they say in this interview, they kind of see themselves more alongside like the Bad Sons and One Republic. They're huge like Taylor Swift fans. They're kind of going for the more pop sound, even though they're from a kind of pop punk background. Guys, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. Kind of been aware of you guys for a while, so it's good to kind of digitally meet you guys. Alex, I was just Josh and I were just kind of I guess introducing ourselves and saying where we're based. So he was saying you guys are West Virginia based, right?
Yeah, West Virginia, USA. Yeah, we claim capital of West Virginia, Charleston. So yeah, it's the small little most interesting looking state in the country. So
And and I was just saying, just for reference, I'm in Surrey, which is just like I'm about half hour southwest of London, just to give you a bit
okay,
of
nice.
perspective there. Are you guys are you born and raised West Virginians?
Born and raised. Yeah.
Yeah, we lived in Ohio, which sounds like so different. It's like literally the neighboring state. We lived in Ohio for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then I guess born and raised West Virginia and lived most of our lives here. So yeah.
One of the first questions I tend to ask is like, what's a typical day for you guys at the minute? Like, I know you've got a record coming out and stuff, and music's keeping you busy. But I mean, I guess how much of your life does that take up at the minute? I mean, I guess talk me through what you're both doing today after we do this.
Yeah, it's like so I like to say we kind of have like two full-time jobs. Like obviously we have the band and do the music thing, but we honestly like live like pretty normal lives. All of us kind of have normal jobs, normal lives. And I'm sure we'll talk more about this. I feel like this record is a really good this upcoming record has a very good kind of, I don't know how you want to put it, a very good narrative of this whole like living a total normal life, but also having this kind of like, it feels like very larger than life, like source of creativity that we present to the world. So yeah, just like, I mean, we're just very normal people. We wake up, we eat, we do a little bit of like, I would say our day-to-day job. And then once that is over, we kind of focus more on the band, whether that is like writing, recording, creating content. So it's a very kind of like like Hannah Montana kind of experience.
Yeah.
Have such a normal lives, but then we kind of have to put on our shoes to kind of, be a part of this band and kind of present that to the world.
What do you both do for day jobs outside the band?
So I work for I work in corporate retail. and kind of just like analyst work for them.
Okay.
I work in for like a communications marketing agency, so I kind of head up the video work. So that's kind of my background is creative video. So that, I mean, it's nice because it works out for us because we don't really have to farm out that type of work because we have the opportunity, I guess, to kind of do it all ourselves. So
Okay. And how do you find that balance? Because I assume the band takes up so much time. Like, does it ever get tricky balancing the two, or have you kind of got that to a niche now? Because I know you've been doing the band a long time now.
Yeah, for sure. I think that, and like Josh mentioned, I think that the lives that we've lived for how many years now, like, at some point something has to give. Which I don't mean something has to give, but like something is sacrificed, like personal life or free time, social life, or anything like that. I think that it's hard for sure. But I think that doing the band and the music, I feel like we've never been so comfortable with who we are as a band and who we are as people that it's like a part of who we are. Like it's a part of our lives and we couldn't not do it. It's daily practice now. So, but yeah, working 9 to 5, and then working 5 to whenever, it's fun, but it definitely has its challenges. But the greatest thing about that with this record is like, that's kind of what we're doing or writing about. It's like owning the lives that we live. So
yeah, for sure. That's kind of the themes you're going for, as you say. And speaking of the new record, we've got the new single "My Place," which came out last week. How are we feeling about that, and how's that been received so far?
Excellent. It's one of my favorite songs we've ever done. I think it's a great representation of like narratively like what we want to say about the record. So we were so stoked to put it out. I feel like the response has been great. Yeah. Anything else you want to say to that, Josh?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like My Place was like the perfect single off the record to kind of like kick everything off. Obviously, we've been putting out singles that will be included on the upcoming record throughout the year. But this really felt. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry to cut in. How many singles has there been prior to this one? Is it 2 or 3?
So we have put out. Great question. 3 this year, and then we put out 2 singles late last year, which will all be on the upcoming record.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So like, yeah. Mundane Magic, Never Around came late. So they're both on the record as well as the ones that got you.
Yeah. So yeah, I just thought it was like the perfect single to like kick things off, announce that the record is actually coming.
Yeah.
I would say I don't know. I feel like with all of these singles, I feel like they sonically sound a lot different from each other, but in so many ways there are like elements that really tie everything together. But I felt like My Place specifically, it has its own sound. It's very like, I would say like almost like celebratory feeling. It's very like upbeat, just kind of just like perfect way to like kick off like, hey, the record's coming. This is what it's called. Get stoked on it. And yeah, the reception has been really, really good. It's kind of you really never know what to expect with like putting out a song and kind of like the reception for it. But yeah, it's been just as good as anything else. And I think just at this point, people are just like really stoked for like the record now. So ever since we started the band, I felt like initially we really shied away from the whole like pop rock thing, because when we started, like pop punk was just like, that was the focus, and that was what was like, I guess quote unquote cool at the time. I mean, it still is cool, but I felt like we kind of just like didn't really promote the whole pop rock thing up front, because we were trying to like fit in with a crowd that probably we didn't belong in. So I felt like with this record specifically, it's funny that you bring that up. It's like, I feel like we are very, and Alex was mentioning this earlier, we're just very comfortable like what we want to do, how we want to present the band, and really leaning into this whole pop rock thing. So, there are moments in time in the record where it is very much a rock record. Obviously, we're always going to have like catchy melodies. that, could be on the radio. But I do think like, we're huge fans of like Taylor Swift, of course, big fans of like pop bands like One Republic.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. And speaking, you mentioned like forming the band and stuff. Take me a little bit back to those early days. So when did this band form?
I would say officially we formed almost
14.
2014. We put out our first EP at the very end of 2014.
Okay.
I would say we are very much in the whole like local, not really taking it seriously phase until we put out our first record in 2016.
Got it. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we all kind of just came from like different backgrounds. I was more involved with the whole like work tour, kind of scene band type of world, where Alex is kind of like the more traditional, like, and Alex, I don't want to speak for you, but kind of like growing up in church and like,
Yeah.
like going to school for music, very much like a more like professional avenue of music. So yeah, we just kind of joined forces at some point, and yeah, it was around like 2014, but I don't think we really took it seriously till about 2016.
Okay. So you were just kind of playing locally for those first 2 years.
Mhm.
You weren't necessarily touring or anything like that.
Yeah, I would say like we were just kind of doing it for fun, and then we put out the record in 2016, and it just started like catching on pretty quick. And I think we're like, oh, maybe we should kind of like take it a little bit seriously. So yeah, that's kind of when we really just started. Okay, the band thing, music, that's kind of what we want to do.
Okay. And so did sort of tours come out of releasing that 2016 album?
Yeah, we toured. We really started hitting the road in 2016.
Yeah.
Anything from like Warped Tour, some big festivals over here in the States, and then just like touring with, I think we got in a pretty good routine about staying on the road pretty frequently, obviously up until like COVID happened. But yeah, that's when we started like touring a lot.
Who were kind of some of the standout people that you toured with during that period?
First
Couple of years.
One notable band that we really enjoyed was a band called 7 Minutes in Heaven. They're not a band anymore.
Yeah, I remember them.
Yeah. We toured with them. Trying to think who else we were touring with at the time. Summer Wars. We toured with them.
Southpaw.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Summer Wars. Yeah, I they had an EP a few years ago that I really enjoyed at the time. I remember.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Really good EP.
This must have come up for you, but I feel like was there another band that kind of broke through sort of around? I feel like around 2018 called The Story Untold. Were people get you guys mixed up? Because that's happened with me before. Because I've heard both your names around.
Right.
And...
Yeah. It was funny.
Not so much anymore.
Right.
But it used to there for a minute.
I feel like when we put out that first record, it was like early 2016, and literally like 2 months after that, we heard about this Story Untold band. And honestly, we've never met them. We've never talked to them. I'm sure they're great guys and put out great music, but we've just never really crossed paths. And I think it does go back to that whole like we are very much like in the pop lane where they were very much in like the pop punk. So yeah, at the beginning where we had more of like a punk influence, I would say we were getting a lot of like, I don't want to say confusion, but maybe some confusion. But I think very much now, like we are in totally different lanes. Where it really come out every now and then we'll see like a tweet or something like that.
I was gonna say, I think every now and again somebody like thinks they came up with a very original idea to put us on tour with them. And in the story so far, and story of the year.
Yeah.
So it pops up every once in a while.
Yeah,
that would be an interesting tour. To be fair, though.
Yeah,
it would be.
So, Josh, you mentioned your influences were like Warped Tour kind of stuff, and obviously, Alex, yours were in a different lane. Can you both like tell me some examples of who those influences were for each of you?
Yeah, well, I'm. You'll like this. Apparently, I'm like a huge Blink fan. Like that's kind of why I started, playing music. Huge like Tom DeLonge fan. I think that's really apparent in kind of our songwriting, how I play guitar. So yeah, I would say like, I mean, Blink, Sum 41, Newfound Glory. That's kind of the stuff that I was listening to when I was like growing up. And then just from there, really just at this point, I listen to everything. You know, I love Taylor Swift. I love like Third Eye Blind. But I would say that like core, like Blink, Sum 41, Starting Line, that's kind of really how I got into music and like wanting to like make my own music.
Got it. What about you, Alex?
Yeah, so I mean, like Josh mentioned, like a little bit more of like a traditional musical life upbringing. I don't feel like I really started having interest in like writing music myself until I was 17 or something like that. So, you know, I some of my favorite bands, you know, I obviously was around and like enjoyed those types of bands as well, but never thought of it as like songwriting. But bands like Switchfoot and Reliant K were kind of like those early teen years were bands that were in that similar realm as well. I was huge on an Amy Grant record, if you know who that is. But then when I really wanted to start writing music, it was One Republic. It was their first record that really got me into it. And I've always been a huge Coldplay fan. As much hate, or whether you love them or hate them, I don't see anyway. Probably One Republic, Coldplay, Taylor Swift are my biggest influences for sure.
Okay, interesting. So it's an interesting mix that you guys have got going there, which I suppose makes sense with your sound as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like it truly, our sound is a product of those two worlds kind of clashing. We do have the high energy, like, you know, sometimes like, I mean, it's very guitar driven. But I feel like, especially with this like new record, I mean, I think there's keys and piano and strings in every single song. And I think that really comes from like Alex's world and the influences like he grew up on. And I think, yeah, like you said, it's just like, I think it makes for an interesting sound, and I think it's our sound. And I really can't compare our music to, you know, a lot of bands. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know if that's why people don't really ever know where to put us. Are they like a scene band? Are they a radio band? You know, we're just kind of like doing what we want to do. So
I think that's like, that can be a pro and a con to, like you're kind of alluding to. It's good, you know, I think it's really important to be unique, but that can confuse people sometimes. It's just, as you say, they're sort of a Warped Tour band, but not quite. I think this, as I say, there's pros and cons, but I think that's ultimately a good thing, and you know that will
I think so
make
too.
you stand the test of time. You know.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, you were bringing up like the touring history. I think that was kind of honestly like when we were trying to figure out like who to tour with. I feel like people never could like figure out like what bands we should be touring with, just because we rode such a fine line. Like, I don't think we really fit in with like the Real Friends Knuckle Puck crowd, but we weren't pop enough to be with or like indie enough to be with like the Bad Sons, Band Camino crowd. So it was really a tough thing to figure out like who we should be touring with and like what audience we should be going after. And I think we've just really kind of learned and like grown and like really got a little more comfortable with our sound, where I think now, like, I think in 2023, I think people will be able to like put us in a more specific box. Just with like the growth of the band and kind of really just figuring out like what we are trying to do with our sound.
Has that ever like been an obstacle in terms of like, you know, an A&R person at a label, or you know, someone like with a position in the music industry who you want to work with, who's like turned around and said, you know, you guys are good, but I don't know what a fan is, you know, like kind of exactly what you're saying there. Has that been an obstacle that you've noticed coming from other people?
Yeah, I mean, we have definitely heard that. Definitely, like, you guys just need to figure out like who your audience is, because it kind of feels like all over the place. But I don't think we've ever let like, so we've been a completely independent band this whole time. We're on our like fourth full-length record doing this completely independent. We've never had like a label or anything like that. Yes, you know, these people, like, they know what they're talking about. But I just feel like we've never let those opinions or anything like that like dictate like what we want to do. I feel like maybe at some point it was like a crutch. But you know, like you live and you learn, and I think that stuff comes naturally. You need the time to develop like what lane you want to be in. And you know,
Yeah.
maybe at the time, like it's 2016, 2017, like signing to a label just wasn't the right move, especially that we hadn't like figured out like what we wanted to do with our sound. But yeah, I don't think we've ever let it be a crutch. And I honestly, I just don't think it's something that we really like put too much emphasis on, because at the end of the day, we just like want to like create music. Obviously, we want to get it out there to as many people as possible. But you know, the goal of like being signed or anything like that has just never been the sole reason why we do this. And I think that's kind of how we've ended up where we are now.
What about booking agent? Have you had booking agents over the years, or have you been independent on that side of things as well?
Yeah, we've had booking agents, and like we've been talking about, I think it was very hard for them um, to figure out like where to put us. And
Yeah.
I think it's very evident in like the tour history. Obviously, we're super appreciative of, the booking agencies we've had in past. And, sometimes like when I look back to like, those album cycles, those years, there was definitely a very much like a kind of almost like working against what we had like going on around us. And I think from every aspect, including like booking our band, I think that's something that we're experiencing there as well, if that makes sense.
Jumping back to that, you said like things kind of really notched up to the next gear when you did that first full length, the 2016 one. How do you feel about that record now? Now there were 7 years on and your band's kind of evolved a bit. Do you still listen to that one, or do you kind of find it like it's too much in the past?
I still listen to it for sure. I think it, with any record, it holds so much memories of a time and place, what it meant to you, but like, and what it meant to everybody else. And I think Josh hit it dead on. It's just like, I don't really know how serious we were taking it, but the response from that record, I think we were sitting at like a Buffalo Wild Wings. Josh, I like have a very distinct memory of that, like all the feedback flooding in on that. So, that record in particular, of course you listen back and you're like, oh, wow, that decision we made, that's what this sounds like, production quality, anything like that, your ability to write over time. But, it's all fond memories for me. So it's a fun quality listen for me.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, I feel like with all of the records, we put out 3 previously. When I listen to them, and I still listen to all of them, it's very much like a time and place, and you appreciate like, what you did at that time. Like Alex was saying, yeah, would you do things differently if you had those songs and had to like produce them today? Absolutely. Like, I don't think we were like putting out those records today. I mean, obviously they wouldn't sound nothing like what they do now, but you just kind of have to like appreciate it. And because those songs and those albums still mean so much to everybody. I mean, like people have like tattoos of those records. We still like, Alex is still like doing like handwritten lyric sheets for songs on those records. So that still really means something to somebody. And even like 7 years later, that people are still like streaming this or like care about that stuff. Like that's kind of like mind blowing.
And want us to print the vinyl.
Yeah. The first record's the only record we don't have on vinyl.
Right.
But yeah, I'm with Alex. Very fond memories of it. Very time and place. I wouldn't do anything differently. But you can definitely tell like between records that, the growth of this happened with the band and trying to get to that, like where we are today.
Oh, by the way, so how many members do you guys have at the minute? Because I noticed in the most recent video, there's 3 of you in that video.
3.
So is that the current band lineup? Is 3 of you?
Yeah, 3.
Okay. Is that historically always been the case, or has it changed over the years?
It's changed. It's changed over the years. That this most recent band, when it was 4, I mean, Casey was the drummer. He's still very much involved, which I think is cool, because it still feels like he's like a piece to the puzzle of what we're doing. But I think that the three now, like that's been the core. Like those have been the people, and I think that also plays a role in why it feels like we've never been more comfortable as a band, because it was, that's what it felt like for a long time. So
the three of us, Alex and I, have been in it the whole time. Jason, who plays guitar for the band, he joined the band in 2017, but honestly, he's always been a part of like what we were doing, because he was mixing, he's producing for the band ever since it started. Like he mixed our first two records.
Keep watching. Yeah.
So like Alex was saying, like I feel like with Jason and Casey, who used to play drums for the band, who still play drums on this record, still helps us out. It's still very much the people that kind of have been there since, things have really started taking off. Yeah, somebody might not be a face of the band anymore, but they're still very much a part of it, which is like super cool.
What happens for the live show with your current setup? Do you use a backing track, or do you like get a touring drummer, a session drummer? How's that work?
So yeah, we do have touring drummers. It's kind of been nice. We have like a few that we could choose from, but honestly, like Casey, who drums for the band or drummed for the band prior, he's kind of like our go-to. Just he knows the song, he knows the songs, he knows our band, knows our style. So yeah, we'll always have like a live drummer in that sense.
All the touring you did around the records, since you've been a touring band, have you made it outside of the States at all?
We have not.
Okay.
We get messages daily. Usually it's UK or like Australia. It's just so expensive, and especially being like an independent band. We're just waiting for the right opportunity that we can do it, and we can do it right. Yeah.
Understandable. Have either of you guys had much UK experience just outside of the band? You ever been this way before?
No.
Not at all.
I think about it.
No.
Okay. What, like Europe at all?
I don't think I've ever been anywhere internationally, now that you bring that up.
Well, hopefully the band will bring the first opportunity to do that.
Yeah, that's always been the goal. Let the band, I feel like travel in general, a lot of it happens because of the band, because it's such a time consumption there. But it does allow for you to like see a lot of different places you probably normally wouldn't go to, and definitely like international is on that list. Hopefully,
we have all the interest in doing so for sure.
Yeah. Just waiting for that right opportunity. So I assume you must have toured the States tenfold. You've been to most places within the States.
Yeah, I would say most places. We are located on the East Coast.
Yeah.
So I mean, most of the U.S. population is here on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really nice because we had, accessibility to major cities like Chicago, New York, Atlanta, those type of cities. We've never made it out to the West Coast though. Like LA, we've never played LA. It's just such a trek out there, especially kind of like where we are now. But I would say like most of the United States we've played.
With the records coming out in a couple of months, have you got touring plans and anything else kind of planned around that release?
Nothing announced yet, but we are definitely trying to like figure out plans just to, and probably in a more like unique way than we have in the past, to kind of like get out there and present this record, whether that's like live shows, whether that's like kind of like a pop-up shop kind of deal, just trying to really give a human interaction with the record, and just trying to figure out what that looks like.
Speaking of like music at the minute, is there any artists that have impressed either of you recently?
Let's open up Spotify.
Go for it, man.
Alex, who do you have? Who are you on right now?
That's a really good question. I was literally opening it up as well.
I'm really big on PD right now. I think he's a TikToker, and he's been putting out music. He's
I don't know him.
Really cool. I saw like Mark Hoppus posted about it recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but he's super good and he's blowing up. I watched his live stream at, was it Bonnaroo? I think it was a Bonnaroo live stream, and that's kind of where I saw him. And now I've been hearing him pop up everywhere. So definitely check him out.
Did you say he's blowing up?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he's blowing up. And I want to say he started as a TikToker, but I could be completely
Oh
wrong.
yeah, he's huge on TikTok. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
see,
a
I think for
common.
me, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying that that's a common route these days. That's what I
Yeah.
was chiming in with. Yeah, go ahead.
But it is interesting that he didn't start as a music TikToker. Like he's does like sketch comedy on TikTok. Let's see. I think my two that the only chance, like, of course, I've listened like to the new Posty record, um, the Carly Rae Jepsen record, but I'm really into female country artist Abby Cohn right now, and also Abby Holiday. She's I guess she's probably indie pop. I don't even know how to
Okay.
describe her. Alternative indie pop. Abby Holiday and
Abby
Abby
Holiday.
Cohn. So
Abby Cohn. Okay.
Yeah.
I like both those genres. So yeah, that sounds cool.
You can tell we listen to like everything. We're
Oh,
bringing up
definitely.
free pop on this podcast.
What's like a ideal tour for both of you? You could take it. Anyone could take you out.
I mean, for me, it would be Blink. That's like the dream. I was able to see a couple times this summer.
A couple of times, really.
Yeah, definitely be Blink. You know, that's kind of where my roots are.
Yeah.
So, you know, like if Taylor wants to take us out, like we do that.
we'll consider.
Yeah. But, you know, like I guess more realistically, like you know, I feel like we're very much starting to enter that world of like the band Camino, Bad Sons, Joan. I think that would kind of be where we want to be, Coin, kind of where we want to be like in a tour aspect these days.
Josh just said some good ones. I think that those are a more achievable level of those bands like Bad Sons and the band Camino. And of course, if Taylor wants to take us out. But I'd probably say I'd probably pick One Republic out of all of it because of knowing Ryan's story and how he came up, and for that kind of being my influence into getting into songwriting. I feel like we're pretty in line with them as well ish. So that would be mine.
I meant to ask before, on any of the records, did you work with producers or is it all self-produced?
So it's all been self-produced. We've tried. I feel like this is the theme of this conversation. We've tried working with producers in the past, but honestly, they just like never really like gotten what we do, and it just like never like really worked out. And you know, like you know who you are, you know yourself the best, and what type of music you want to put out there. So yeah, we've always like self-written, self-produced. We have like a really good kind of team in terms of like mixing and mastering that does give like the sound that you know like is on the record. Like our mix engineer, he works with like Joan. He did the new like Boys Like Girls singles. I think that definitely puts us, you know, takes us to like the finish line in terms of like our sonic sound. But in terms of like production, it's all self, you know, in-house.
Who would be a dream producer? I mean, I could see someone like Jack Antonoff doing something interesting with your sounds.
Jack Antonoff, I don't know, even like Butch Walker.
Yeah.
I'm trying to Ryan Tedder, that'd be amazing. Those would kind of be like my picks. We'd love to like work with somebody like that.
Boys, we could probably wrap this up in a second, but we normally finish with like just some. Sorry, I can appreciate it. Probably sounds weird when I'm saying we. I do normally have a co-host for this.
Oh,
I
cool.
don't just. I'm not Gollum. I don't refer to myself in the third person. You know. Yeah, but my co-host had a kid this year, so I've been doing a lot of these shows solo, basically. But yeah, so what I was saying is we finish with like some quick fire questions. So you know, if it's cool, you know, maybe I'll dive into those.
Let's do it.
All right. Favorite TV show?
Breaking Bad.
I'm gonna say How I Met Your Mother.
Slightly different answers there, but I like that. Favorite movie?
Disturbia. With Shia LaBeouf.
Favorite movie. Oh man.
Not the best movie.
Favorite movie. Man, put me on the spot.
Shutter Island.
No, not Shutter Island. I'm gonna say The Dark Knight.
Best concert you've been to?
Taylor Swift Reputation tour.
Agreed.
Oh yeah, I'm going to give you 3 previous guests from this show, and you can only save the music of one of those artists.
Oh man,
if you know them, you know. If you don't know them, then that's an easy get out. But I'm going to give you guys Newfound Glory, 9 Days, the Get Up Kids.
I love all of them, but I'm going to go with Newfound Glory just because I grew up on Newfound Glory.
Fair.
That's the politically correct answer. All of them, but
For the sake of just disagreeing, I'll say Get Up Kids.
Finally, you don't have to give me the absolute one, but give me some contenders for your favorite ever record.
ooh, I'm gonna say "Enema of the State" by Blank, the Third Eye Blind self-titled record, and what's another good one?
Man, that's tough.
Oh man, so much music. I'm gonna say a Taylor record. I love all of them, but I'll just say my current one. I'm gonna use 1989 by Taylor.
Let's see. I'll go Taylor record 2. I'll pick Folklore. I'm just gonna go with my 3 favorite artists and their best records to me.
Makes sense.
There's that. Favorite Coldplay record. I love Ghost Stories. Or Viva La Vida anyway. And then Waking Up for One Republic.
Yeah, guys, thanks so much for giving me your time today. It's great to meet you both, albeit digitally. And
Me too.
wish you the best of luck with the album when it comes out in October. And